As you continue to learn about the whole pattern of narcissism and what it's all about, one huge theme keeps coming to the forefront, and that is needing to have an understanding of the significance of a narcissist's false self. With a narcissist, what you see isn't necessarily what you get. These individuals have learned over the years to be very cagey and very deliberate in terms of filtering out what people are going to know about them, because in their lives, it's all about keeping up their power base so that they can maintain their own self-absorbed preferences, and the less accountability they have to you, in fact, in their mind, the better off they are. Now, with narcissists, you have three different selves that we want to be aware of. You have the public self, you have the private self, and then you have the secret self. Now, let's take those first two, your public self and your private self. Everybody is going to have a certain amount of discrepancy between those two. The bottom line is, when you build relationships, it just requires a large amount of time, intentionality, insight, commitment, and you can only invest in relationships to the fullest with a certain number of people. There are going to be many individuals that you know in public or that you know in all sorts of different kind of settings, and you don't know all of the private things about them. Simply, it may be that in public a person can be friendly and a jokester, but maybe you don't know that privately they struggle sometimes with anxiety and depression. Well, maybe people who know them well understand that. Or it could be that a person is a very caring and seemingly level-headed person in public, but it could be behind the scenes they have a bad temper, and many people wouldn't know that. Or it could be that a person presents themselves in public as being very straight-laced and by the book in terms of the way they do life, but behind the scenes they may have some various addictions in their private self. So there can be discrepancies there. And one of the things that I watch for that tells me if that discrepancy between the public self and the private self is healthy or not is the depth of the secrets that they have. You have your public self, your private self, but then what are you doing with your secret self? Now, there are different levels of secrecy that we may have in our lives. There's one level that we're just going to kind of allow it to be there, and we're going to call that the discernment level. You know, there are times when there's some things that you just don't want to talk about, you don't want to reveal, and frankly, it doesn't need to be revealed. For example, let's suppose that you have a friend and they have a partner, and quietly you think, I don't really get along with my friend's partner. I don't like who they are. Well, sometimes it may just be that discernment says you don't need to go into that space very much. Or it could be that a person picked up a sexually transmitted disease years ago. And so here they've got the STD. And it's like, I don't really want to talk about that in social circles. Okay, I get that. Or maybe you've made some investments of money, or in your earlier days, you had some poor, youthful indiscretion in the way that you maintained your social habits. Now that's part of your past and you're beyond that. There's some secrets or some elements about yourself that you hold in that we're just going to put under the category of discernment. But then there's another level of secrecy that starts getting more into the pathological, and that is some people keep secrets, and this is where we start getting more into the narcissistic bent, because they have no willingness to be accountable. There are some people who are very evasive regarding time and place. I don't want you to know what I've got going on with my time schedule or where I am. They may not be willing to discuss personal or emotional problems at all. It's like, I don't talk about stuff like that. Or it may be that they associate with low character people, and it's like, the less you know about who I'm hanging with, the better off I'm going to be. It may be that they're the kind of people that will promise to do things and then they don't, kind of a passive-aggressive approach towards being secretive. It may be that they don't intend to follow through on agreements. In other words, there's some people that it's like, I'm not going to be accountable to you. I'm not going to let you know who I am and what's going on. And then you can take it to an even deeper level where the secrets are a major cover for, I have three categories, primary irresponsibilities, ethics, or immorality. Many times people can be so committed to irresponsible, unethical, and immoral behavior. It's like, there's no way I'm going to let anybody know who I am. And that's when you know you're deep into the narcissistic pattern. Now, when people of the narcissistic nature keep secrets, there are various goals that they have that they're attempting to accomplish, if you can put it in those terms. One is they have the goal of keeping their own self-absorbed cravings alive. It's like, look, it's all about me, and the more I let you know who I am, then the less I can be whatever I want to be in my self-absorbed self. They also have a goal of keeping you out of their business. It's like, you need to understand your place in my life. And you need to understand what you will be allowed to engage with and what you will not be allowed. And so it's very much a condescension, non-trust, almost a paranoid kind of attitude towards being known by others. Secret-keeping narcissists have the goal of maintaining a power base. And basically, by keeping secrets, it's their way of saying nobody, and I mean nobody, tells me what to do. You ever know people that think that way? Or another goal of the secret-keeping narcissist is they just want to stay away from any kind of deep thinking about meaningful topics. It's like, I don't want to be bothered by psychobabble. I don't want to be bothered by, the who am I kind of question. They just kind of think that stuff is difficult because if you make them think, then they may have to take a look at who they are and come to some conclusions they don't want to come to. Often these secret-keeping narcissists have the goal of just rationalize and minimizing obvious wrongs. The more their behaviors or plans or preferences are known, it's kind of like, well, actually, if I talk about it, it's going to sound kind of bad. So you know what? I'm just not going to let my life be open to any other person's interpretation of me. And so I can keep minimizing because what you don't know won't hurt you. So your task is to at least try to be aware of the fact that this person is maintaining secrets and then figuring out how to respond. And there are little cues that you want to watch for that can confirm that indeed you're dealing with this secret-keeping narcissist. Again, let's keep in mind public self, private self. There can be some of that difference there, but then that secrecy makes the discrepancy between the public and private self much, much broader. For example, a big sign that we have is with these narcissistic individuals that they don't like anybody to have access to their electronic devices. I cannot tell you how many stories I've had with somebody related to the narcissist. As soon as you walk in the room, they slam their cell phone down or they shut their computer down. They're not about to let anybody know what any password is. If you're an open person, you don't need to do that. But pathological secret keepers will do that. Also, another sign that you're dealing with the secret keeper is they tend to be very vague about specifics regarding their habits or their whereabouts. They won't give details, or they'll speak in broad euphemisms like, what did you do earlier today? And the answer is, I just ran a bunch of errands, or I was just talking to some people. And they don't ever give you any kind of particulars. If somebody has a long-standing pattern of that, usually that's not a good sign. In addition, another sign that these people are, in fact, probably involved in their deep secret or committed to their secret keeping, they tend to do a lot of blame shifting. They'll blame you for even asking the question, well, why are you so nosy? What's wrong with you? I mean, you just seem to want to try to get into my business and tell me anything and everything, and then it's like, you're the problem here. And narcissists are expert at that, and we have a word for that. That's part of their gaslighting tendency. They want to keep you on your defensive. They want to keep you feeling confused. Many times they'll answer your questions with a question of your own. You may say something like, I noticed that you were with this person, and I just kind of get the sense that that wasn't something that, that I would be in favor of. Why are you dealing with this person? And they may come back and say, why do you hang out with certain people that I don't like? Or why do you manage your money in ways that I don't care for? And they'll kind of go back and whatever it is you're accusing them of or asking them about, they'll ask you questions in reverse. It's very sneaky and it's very disingenuous. So let's recognize you're only as healthy as your secrets allow you to be. I'm hoping that when there is a discrepancy between your public self and your private self, you can move forward knowing if somebody wants me to explain the difference between my public and private self, I'll be glad to, because there's not a whole lot of deviousness there. It's just the matter of time and investment and all like that I mentioned a few minutes ago. I'm willing to reconcile my public and private self. I'm willing to be a known and accountable kind of an individual. Narcissists, with their heavy commitments to their secrets, are letting you know, I don't do that. I don't operate according to standard operating procedures. The reason there's a discrepancy between my public self and my private self is I have a whole lot behind door number 3 that I don't want anybody to know. By the way, I operate with what I call the rat theory. You know, if you see one rat on this side of the wall, might there be 15 behind the wall that you don't see? Narcissists have a bunch of rats behind the wall. And that's why they want to keep things covered up. That's why they don't want you knowing who they are. Be aware of that and make plans accordingly. These are not individuals that you can afford to engage in a trustworthy and a mutually accountable kind of a life. They don't know how to do it. Now, I do hope that videos such as this will prompt some good thinking and awareness on the inside of you. If you've not already done so, I would encourage you to go beneath the video and hit that subscribe button, and we'll keep you apprised of more videos. I have some websites that I want you to be aware of. We have the survivingnarcissism.tv with articles and quizzes and other videos. We have my drlescarter.com website. And also, I'd encourage you to go over and take a look at the Dr. Les Carter video channel here on YouTube, because I have some other videos on different kind of topics I would encourage you to go look at. If you have the need for counseling and you would prefer to do it in an online way, many people like to do that. And I know that as you get into topics like this, it can bring up subjects that you need to talk about with somebody. We have a link below that can help you with respect to that. We also have links to my books, online video workshops, and even coffee mugs. Be aware that that secret keepers are not very trustworthy. You want to be with somebody who has that willingness to say, as necessary, I'll be as open as the relationship requires. And as you encounter people like that, you know you're in the hands of safe people. People that can't be that way, then we're going to say the contact is going to be minimal. The connection is going to be minimal. Stay safe and practice self-care.